Hi, everybody. Welcome to our session, How AI Agents Will Make or Break Your Career. My name is Kim Martin. I'm a member here at Sidebar. And what is Sidebar? We are a highly vetted leadership community built on the values of generosity, trust, and growth. We're on a mission to unleash everyone's full potential. When you join our leadership program, you will get a designed and intentional access to a set of programs and a set of activities that will help you actually drive measurable results across your whole professional journey. You'll access everything and you'll do it through a custom built virtual platform that is both desktop and mobile. So it is my pleasure to introduce you to Tatyana. And Tatyana, do you want to go ahead and talk a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, hello, happy to be here. So today we're going to be talking about what the future of our organizations is going to look like. I did not put together the slides. I found this on the internet, but it looks like ChatGPT put together the slide. So what we're seeing, especially in 2026, is that organizations are going to shift from a Homo sapiens based framework, right? Meaning that all of the workers in a company are humans, are Homo sapiens, to a multi-sapiens workforce. So your org chart, if it doesn't already, is going to start bringing in AI agents to do certain jobs and certain components. So this is what this whole session and this workshop is about. It's about how to transition yourself today in 2026 as these AI agents come into the workplace to be these amazing human strategists and what they're calling human orchestrators. But really what you are is like you're the high level executive function that helps to direct all of these agent workers that are going to be coming into your organization. So if you're not building agents, that's absolutely fine. Not everybody's going to have to be building agents, but you're going to have to know how they're built. And more importantly, you're going to have to know how they're managed. So this is what today is all about. So who am I and who is Wayfound? I am the co-founder and CEO of Wayfound. We are an AI agent supervision platform. We were just recognizing Gartner as a leading guardian agent platform, which is the whole supervision category. I've been a product leader at AWS, Salesforce, Pendo, Chief Product Officer at Nextdoor, a practice lead at IDEO for organizational transformation. So I've, really kind of lived and breathed a lot of technology shifts, a lot of product innovation, a lot of ways that new technologies enter the workplace. My co-founder Chad as well has worked at Box and Pendo. We worked together at Pendo. He's seen these shifts as well. So when we started building Wayfound, we designed from the beginning our organization to be multi-sapiens. We started working with AI agents, again, from the moment that we founded the company. We said we're never going to hire an SDR. That's all going to be done through AI agents. We're never going to hire a product marketer. That's all going to be done with AI agents. Our engineering team is just two high-level engineers who work with Claude Code and Codex and build our entire product end-to-end with those tools. And they are not 10x engineers, they're 1,000x engineers because they're working with agents. So we really know what it takes, and we're also working with enterprises, companies like Sauce Labs, 8am, and quite a few financial services firms to help them bring AI agents as employees into the workforce. So we are headed this year toward the multi-sapiens workforce. And your company, unless it's going to go out of business in a few years, is going to start bringing in AI agents as your colleagues. Mark Benioff and Dario Amodei have been talking about AI agents as virtual colleagues or digital employees for over 2 years now. And finally, 2026 looks like it's the year when this is going to be deployed en masse. Do not be afraid, right? Like the number one thing that you should get out of this is that this is a huge opportunity for everyone to kind of ladder up, to really be creative, to shift from drudgery work to more creative work, to more strategic work. So if you embrace that mindset, this is a really great opportunity for you and for everyone. And the thing that you have to really understand as well is that AI agents are not traditional software. So they need to be managed like humans. And this is a great, tweet that I pulled out from Gary Tan, the head of Y Combinator, which is agent management is the same as the management of humans. You cannot use traditional tools like Datadog and Splunk, or even like old world ML tools like Arise or those types of things to actually manage AI agents effectively. You're going to need new tools that really understand how to treat AI agents like high performing workers and colleagues, and really start from there. So we're going to be talking about that today. So a little bit of background first about why the shift in how to think about software. If you guys have worked in software, either product management, program management, engineering, you know how to build software. I'm going to tell you, throw it all out the window, because this is not software. Everything that you've learned about the entire deployment cycle, the agile methodology, does not apply with AI agents. You cannot have a spec, build an AI agent, test it for a little while, deploy it, and then walk away and then have it just run with a little bit of monitoring. You cannot do that. And the reason you cannot do that is for three reasons. The first is that AI agents do unexpected things. Even the best AI engineers in the world, those that character AI, those are Google engineers, right? And obviously ChatGPT, right, has gone off the rails, off its own guardrails. Those are OpenAI AI engineers. These AI agents go off the rails in tragic ways, right? We just hear about the things that are ripped from the headlines and places where people are suing, but there are also thousands of instances where they do not conform to their guardrails that we don't hear about. And again, this has nothing to do with the quality of the engineering. These are the best AI engineers in the world, right? So guardrails built into AI agents are never enough, no matter how good your engineers are. And this is because they do not function like software. They're not deterministic. The other thing to understand is that courts see AI agents as employees, not as software. So the company that is deploying AI agents, not the company that you've purchased the AI agent from, but the one that's deploying the AI agent, is ultimately responsible for how the agent behaves in the same way that it would be responsible for employee behaviors. So, if there's a truck driver, right, that's driving down the road and they fall asleep and hit your car, right? Do you sue the truck driver or do you sue the company, right, that he's driving for? You sue the company. And this is a thing to understand. The company policies and their management and their active monitoring and supervision and their policies around AI agents are ultimately going to be the make or break for how companies get sued or don't, or be compliant, right, in terms of all the regulations, that are coming down the road. And the American Bar Association has put out a statement saying that companies must show a duty of care to supervise and regularly audit agents. And this is active supervision, not just monitoring. And the last thing I'm going to say is that AI agents are never done. We grew up, or I grew up, in a time when I would have a product management job and I would write the specs and I would, give it to the engineering team, and we would go back and forth and we would QA it. And then they wanted to mark the project done and walk away, right? And have the thing run, and then everybody kind of moves on, right? That never happens with AI agents, right? And there's a piece of research that I posted on LinkedIn from Anthropic, and their big takeaway from all of their research around AI agents is that model and product developers need to invest in post-deployment monitoring. This is post-deployment monitoring above and beyond what any frameworks or any providers currently provide, right? And let me just say that most eval systems are pre-deployment evaluations, right? So they say pre-deployment evaluations test what AI agents are capable of in controlled settings, but many of our findings cannot be observed through pre-deployment testing alone. So single turn evals are not enough. In fact, they're not even like 10% of the work that needs to be done to really supervise AI agents, right? And they say that they, Anthropic, right, that has invested a lot in enterprise grade agents, have no reliable way to link independent requests to their public API into coherent agent sessions, which limits what we can learn about agent behavior, okay? And that's why you need a separate supervision platform that actually looks at the entire journey of a session, goes beyond single turn evaluation, and really keeps monitoring what the AI agent is doing over time and learns across the whole session, but across multiple sessions as well, to look for model drift, to look for inconsistency, to look for new things in the world that pop up and the agent is bringing in through its model training. And all these kinds of things are popping up, and agents are never done. They need to learn, they need to evolve. You can never, ever, ever stop giving feedback to your agents, stop updating your agents, right? You cannot, it's not a project to build an agent. It's like hiring a new employee and giving them constant feedback and helping develop them and grow them and helping them evolve, right? And we're an official Agentforce monitoring partner. We've been working with Agentforce for about a year. And talking to their sales specialists, they say also again and again that the thing that all successful deployments of AI agents have in common is that the companies iterate a lot and the iteration never ends. This is not an engineering project. And so one of the things that people find, if you're a business user in your company, you might have been in this situation. You have given specs to the engineers. The engineers have developed an agent. Everything works fine in their evals. Everything works, there's no toxicity. There's the off-topic requests are rejected. So their evals are like showing green. And then you look at the outputs of the agents and you're like, this is slop. Anybody have that experience? Let me know in the chat if you've had that experience, right? Where, the engineers think the agent is working great, but the subject matter experts know that it's slop. So one of the things that we really need to understand and appreciate is that AI agents, because they're part of the expert team, right, cannot be managed by the engineers. Because the engineers are not experts in HR if you have HR agents. The engineers are not experts in marketing if you have marketing agents. The engineers are not experts in sales if you have sales agents. They have no idea what good looks like. It's the subject matter experts that do. And this is going to be the new evolving jobs of all of us, right? Is to be the managers, the executives, and the nurturers, the mentors for these AI agents as subject matter experts and help them build expertise as well with our judgment, our experience, and our taste and our intuition. Okay, that is where we are evolving. So one of the things that we do at Wayfound is that we help organizations make this transition with their teams. We often come in and we do, anything from a 5-week consulting project to help a certain team or a certain organization really understand how to transition to this multi-sapiens future and bring AI agents into their organization. Or we'll do a 1-day workshop with a team at an offsite when they're bringing in AI agents to really help them walk through what are their AI agents going to look like, how are they going to work with these AI agents, and what do they expect these AI agents to do. Their main tool for kind of facilitating, we have a couple of different tools, but this is this is kind of the hero shot and where the rubber hits the road. We have this Wayfound agent strategy canvas, and we walk teams through understanding what is the agent's role and its goals going to be on your team, right? So once we understand what is going to be the role in this multi-sapiens workplace that we're moving toward, that your organization is moving toward, what is the agent's role and goal going to be within this team? So again, if it's the finance team, for example, a lot of finance teams are building accounts payable agents right now or buying accounts payable agents right now. So that agent, is their role going to be to actually just review the accounts payable, the invoices that come in, or are they going to actually decide and actually transact, right? Like, is there going to be a human in the loop? And when there's a human in the loop, what are they going to do, right? So what's the role of the agent? What are its goals? And what results do you hope to achieve with an AI agent versus a human? So aligning on that already takes organizations from like 0 to like 50 in terms of, oh, now I get why we're bringing in an agent. Now I understand what this agent is meant to do. Now I understand which parts of my job are going to be offloaded to this agent, right, versus other ones. Now I can start to imagine my role in a different way. This is always what happens, right, when we do this workshop. So then there are two things. Once you've established the role and a goal, there are two things now that the team needs to do. The first one is if you are not buying an off-the-shelf agent, and many teams actually don't know. They're gonna make the build versus buy decision after the workshop. But we go through this in terms of, ideally, how would you want this agent designed, right? And this also helps them make the build versus buy decision, or it like creates the criteria for which one to buy. So in the design and build, I think you've probably gone to a lot of agent workshops, so we're not gonna focus here, but you need to understand what forms of knowledge does it need to be connected to? Does it need to be connected to a CRM, your CRM system, or your Notion, or your email, or your Slack? Like what kind of knowledge does it need to kind of ingest and bring in? What kind of actions and tools does it need to access? So this is, again, the knowledge is like, I need all the knowledge about customers and past customer interactions. Now the actions are, I need it to be able to send emails to, customers. So if that's the case, if that's the action that it needs to take, and that's the knowledge that you need, the tools that you need connected are things like your CRM system and your email system, right? So you need to make sure that you've got integrations for in whatever agent building framework you're using to have those things. And then you want to talk about behaviors. How do you want this agent to behave? Is it going to be a professional agent? Does it need to comply with our brand policies and guidelines? What are those brand policies and guidelines? Are there security policies that it needs to make sure that it complies with? Like, is there a behavior around not sharing particular information, or a behavior around not knowing about other customers, right? You want to identify all of those behavioral aspects of your agent. And then what kind of collaboration with other agents is this agent going to need, right? So if you have, for example, again, a sales agent, right? There may be another agent that is a marketing agent, right? And the two of them might work together, right? Or there might be an agent that just extracts data from a highly complicated system and kind of, munges that data for the other agent to ingest and do something with. And then feedback mechanisms, right? What kind of feedback mechanisms are you going to have actually embedded in the agent? So in a lot of like chat agents, you see the thumbs up, thumbs down, or the 5-star rating system with a way to give feedback, right? Like, what are the feedback mechanisms going to be that are built into the agent, right? So this is kind of the spec for what you want the agent to look like, and how, most importantly, how you want it to behave and how you want it to collaborate with other agents, right? So this is where you kind of get away from the traditional software spec and a lot of the PRDs that we talked about. We also have an ARD, an agent requirements document, that is then pulled from this agent strategy canvas that we sometimes walk teams through as well. Now, on the other side, this is the side that's actually 80% of the work. So if you think about the design and build, it's interesting because everyone we go through on this workshop says the same thing, which is, wow, I thought the design and build was going to be like the majority of work, but after I've gone through this, it's actually the supervise and improve is 80% of the work, and the design and the build of the agent is only 20% of the work. And this is what we're going to do today and focus on, because we're going to have some time to do a workshop. And yes, you're going to have a copy of this strategy canvas. So on the supervise and improve. Okay, so this is back to the Anthropic research, right? You need to have post-deployment supervision and improvement loops. You need to be able to not just supervise, but also really effectively close the loop to update the agent very quickly, right? Waiting a week or 2 weeks, right, to get through and read a bunch of customer feedback or sample transcripts and then analyze them, that's not going to work. So we have to think about how to make sure that the agent is compliant with the behaviors that we want and with our company's policies, right? This is one, necessary for legal reasons, right? Necessary for company reasons, but also necessary, right, for making sure that your agent is actually working in the way that you want. Then how are we going to supervise and analyze user feedback real time, right? Because if if an AI agent has offered a refund to a customer, right, we need to see that immediately and not 2 days from now or a week from now when a human gets to it and is able to pull that transcript, or when the customer emails us and is angry, right, that they didn't get a refund. So if anybody has an intercom agent, one of the things you should know is we do see this very frequently with intercom agents, is that even though they are told in their guardrails to never offer refunds, remember, the intercom agents, you pay for intercom when it closes a case and the customer is happy. So what's the fastest way to close a case and make the customer happy? Right? So the agent, although it's told not to do something, actually is doing it. So you need to catch those things. You need to improve those things immediately. You can't wait, right? Then knowledge gaps. The world changes. People ask, remember, these are open-ended questions that people can ask. They're open-ended requests that people can make. And the agent will have knowledge gaps, just like an employee. And you don't know what those are. So intercom, we have like a whole blog post on that. I'll send that to you. But yes, we have a native integration with intercom. We're available on the App Store. So if you have a Fin agent, definitely get in touch with me. We can go deep on that. Knowledge gaps. So knowledge gaps, right? You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what people will be asking. And you don't know when the AI agent will, kind of fail at its job or start to hallucinate because it doesn't know, right? And that's where it's really important, again, to have something reading every single transcript. Sampling transcripts is not going to work because, you got knowledge gaps. Action completion and success, like basically did agents complete actions? And then you want to basically make sure and monitor how well the agent handoffs to humans are working, how well the agent to agent handoffs are working. And you also need to have an alerting system in place. So let's get to the workshop. So we're going to focus on the first three aspects of supervise and improve, okay? So here we're really diving in. You're now the AI executive for your team, okay? So if you have an AI agent, answer this in terms of how you're currently doing this. If you don't have an AI agent or you're planning an AI agent, please answer these questions in terms of how you think this will work on your current team. Not in theory, think about your specific team right now. Think about your team and the agent that you have or the agent that you're going to have in a few months. And I want you to answer these 5 questions. And then please, please post them in the chat if you're willing to. Actually, put in the answer to number 5, okay, in the chat. And then if you're willing to speak, I'll ask for a couple of people to just share their experiences here. Okay, so the first question number 1. How will you, or how do you, monitor the behavior of your AI agents to ensure they are compliant with company policies, brand guidelines, and adhere to their objectives, guardrails, and necessary tool calls? Okay. The second question, how will user feedback and user experience be monitored? How will 100% of user feedback be read and analyzed to ensure trends and issues in user experience are addressed, right? So this is also about the fact that if you've got one really important customer who had a terrible experience, you need to find that needle in the haystack, right? You can't just sample 20% of your transcripts, right? Because you're going to miss a lot of issues. Okay, number 3, how will agent knowledge gaps be identified? Who will read all the logs, transcripts, tool calls, and reasoning blocks to identify critical gaps causing hallucinations or poor user experience? Number 4, how will all of this information be captured, analyzed, and used to continuously improve the AI agents? And again, number 5, the one that you're answering in the chat, again, if you don't get through all 4, just answer number 5. What resources will you need on an ongoing basis to ensure no issues are being missed and AI agents are being continuously monitored and improved 24/7? So think about how many people you'll need, what kind of systems you'll need, like you're going into your annual planning meeting and you are the AI strategist for your team and you need to make a resource ask. What are you asking for in order to supervise your AI agent? Okay, I'm going to give you guys about 5 minutes, so 1 minute per question. And please do put in the chat your answer to number 5. I'm your CEO. What is your ask to monitor and improve, to supervise and improve this AI agent on your team? And I'll just give you some time.
Tatyana, do you want to start talking about some of the answers?
Yeah, I'm going to give people one more minute just to think and answer number five, and then I'll start at 9:34 chatting, and we'll wrap this up at 9:35. Fabulous. I'd love Kunal if you're willing to hop off of mute and talk about what you have in mind for this in terms of observability, tracking logs, tracing, those types of things.
Yeah, hi. So I think one of the things is either the agent going off the guardrails, right? In a way that it intended to, or probably in a way that it did not intend to. And both of those use cases are important. And so in that case, you really want to observe what led it to take those actions and what were the most consequent steps of those actions. Because at that point, you might recognize that it was intended to act in that way or it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. But when you say observability, like what observability tool would you use for the traces and how would that work? Would you be going into the observability tool and which observability tool are you thinking of?
I haven't thought about that yet. I think I was just thinking at a very higher level. But that's a good question in terms of truly doing a pattern detection because you if a certain workflow is known, then you know the pattern of how that workflow would be executed. And if that pattern isn't executed in that way, that is when you know from the observability tool that there is something that has gone wrong. And then you figure out what exactly or pinpoint at that level. So I think not from a human perspective, but I think um, at scale, it would be done by some piece of deterministic software or large language model itself. But at the very starting, I think you might need a human to just figure out those patterns.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point, which is all existing observability tools and ML ops tools, this includes ML ops tools, are built on a fundamental assumption that what's happening is deterministic.
Right.
And the problem is that none of those tools can actually deal with non-deterministic behaviors in AI agents. So what you said about a workflow, in many cases, there is no workflow, right? The AI agents are deciding on the fly what's the next best step based on their reasoning. And so tools like Datadog, tools like Arise, tools like, even LangChain and LangFuse can't deal with non-deterministic outcomes that may be fine or not fine, right? So that is why kind of like since you talked about observability, we do see a lot of people trying to fit in Datadog into AI agent observability, and it just doesn't work, right? Because those tools are not built for that. And again, things like Arise, also they're built for ML ops, which is also deterministic, and it just doesn't work, right? And then the humans are left reading all the logs, reading all the traces, trying to figure things out. I'll talk about that in a minute. But thank you, Kunal. And sorry for putting you on the spot, but hopefully that was fun. Okay, so another answer is around human in the loop. So Sharda, you're here. Can you talk about how you're thinking about, how this would work in your organization?
I'm sorry, did you call on me? You cut out.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, so we haven't started this implementation yet, but going in the logic and looking at that, and I kind of work in the MLOps space. So so kind of thinking through that as we build our agentic workflows, right? And decide what the agents are working on, we would always have like a supervisor agent who is coordinating, looking at the agent workflow and and the results, and then take that feedback and kind of monitor, right? I know there's probably some initial deployment that human in the loop needs to continuously monitor until you get to that state. And then, yeah, continuously have that feedback loop to tweak the workflows and some kind of a guardrail as well, right? In terms of the outputs as to what the result is and
Mhm.
if that result is acceptable in
Yep.
order to move to the next step, like a
Yep.
guardrail. I mean, not quite an LLM agent, but something like a guardrail LLM agent. Yeah.
Great. So I think we're at a great bridge to go on to the next section, because I think a lot of you also started talking about, wait, do we need another agent actually supervising these agents? And is it part of the orchestration layer, or is it something else? And so I'm going to tell you, it's not part of the orchestration layer. It's not an orchestrator. The orchestrator is something else. So the orchestrator is built inside the agent framework itself in order to help understand which agents need to work. It's actually part of the agent dynamic. That's part of the workflow. You need a separate layer that is a supervisor agent. And let me move on and explain why. And this is, I think, one of the biggest places where people are getting confused right now. Is it an orchestrator agent that's also doing the verification and the validation within the workflow itself, within the agent, within the agent framework or the agent harness itself, or is it something else? And so we're moving on to that. Okay, so where a lot of companies start is that they start with managing AI agents with human evaluators using the current deterministic monitoring tools that they already have. So this is a real LinkedIn job that we pulled out, off of LinkedIn for an agent manager, right? $300,000 a year, pretty good salary. But think about the job. Think about the job that Kunal just described, right? You are literally, like, you're trying to read all the logs and all the traces and all the reasoning blocks of AI agents real time as they're working. Is that a great job? Is that a great job? No, it's a really terrible job. So, when we talk to the teams that actually implemented this, they're like, oh my God, my job is terrible. We have a new customer, and they were in this situation where they built one customer service agent, and they have a huge backlog of needing to implement lots of other agents in their company. And the team of 3 AI engineers, all they were doing is pulling logs and traces out of, Datadog and trying to figure out what was going on with their agent. It was terrible. So they were so excited when they saw Wayfound. Wayfound is the supervisor agent, which uses AI to supervise AI, right? And so, it not only is this really freeing up to organizations, but it also takes a lot of the burden of doing the grunt work, of reading logs, reading traces, being in these old school platforms, right? Like LangFuse and Arise and Datadog, right? You get out of those platforms where you just get after the fact, just like things, and then you need to pull everything and read it, right? It gives you a high level view. We have a supervisor agent. Our supervisor agent, its one and only job is to supervise and improve other agents in the company. It works across all platforms, which is also really important. So Gartner just put out a report. This is hot off the presses last week, around guardian agents. This is so Gartner has said, look, we need a new category. Monitoring and ML ops is not the right category, and it's not about security. It's about a completely new category of AI agents whose real specific job is to, again, just supervise, sit as a layer above all the agent frameworks and manage their compliance and manage their adherence and manage how they are continuously improving, okay? So if you see in Gartner's, schematic, what they're really saying is guardian agents are not part of a agent framework or an orchestration itself, right? If you have Microsoft agents, you're building your agents inside Microsoft, and you're building the orchestration inside Microsoft, or Agentforce, right? You're building that orchestration, or LangChain, right? You're building that orchestration inside LangChain. Guardian agents or the supervisor agents need to sit apart from that, right? In terms of being supervisors, right? And so that is really the critical piece to understand, is that is a separate layer in AI, right? Not part of the orchestration layer, not part of the agent framework, and not part of the agent harness, right? And you can see that in Anthropic's latest research as well. When they say, hey, a whole new monitoring, investment in monitoring needs to go beyond the investments that people have made already, because AI agents behave differently, okay? So the other thing that we need to understand is that most companies, enterprises, will not deploy agents, cannot deploy agents unless they get to 3 nines and 5 nines, right? Depending on your policy. Even the best AI agents and the best guardrails inside AI agent frameworks get you to 98% accuracy, okay? This is again from Anthropic research, you can look it up. But even with the highest level of safeguards inside the agent itself and inside the agent harness, you can only get to 98%. With an external independent AI, this is the key piece, is an external independent supervisor framework, you get to 3 nines, over 3 nines, right? You get to 99.96, right? And that is only if the supervisor is independent and again, outside of the agent framework and is not interspersed with the orchestration. The reason, okay, let me tell you, then you get to 5 nines with 2 layers of supervision inside Wayfound. So we have a model where we can layer supervisors. With 2 layers, you get to 5 nines, okay? So that is how you get to 5 nines and enterprise grade with independent AI agent supervision. So let me just explain to you why supervisor agents inside orchestrations don't work. The reason they don't work and the reason why they fail is the same reason why guardrails often fail inside AI agents. It's because the orchestrator agent actually has a set of goals that are not just about compliance and adherence. It's also about continuing the workflow to success. Whenever you have goals that conflict with guardrails, you get sometimes decisions to go off the guardrails, okay? If you never got those decisions, you wouldn't need guardrails, right? The agent would always do what it was supposed to do, right, in the course of achieving its goals. So the reason that there needs to be a completely separate independent layer is in order to ensure that there is something that is completely independent from the actual goal of the agent workflow. From the business, they're all business goals, but like from the actual just like concrete goal of the workflow. Let's take customer service again, right? Close the case as quickly as possible, high NPS score. Your orchestrator agent will also know those goals, will also try to achieve those goals. So it will sometimes not flag refunds. The separate supervisor agent does not share those goals, right? It's assessing whether the agent is moving toward that, but the priority and the way that we've set up our platform for the supervisor is to always hierarchically, right, create a decision matrix to say that the guardrails and the guidelines and adherence always trumps the goal of the agent, okay? So this is what's really necessary, is this independent supervision layer that is not a supervisor inside the orchestration, that is not an orchestrator agent. So Wayfound will be your chief of staff, right? That's a layer above all of your agents, whose only job is to supervise the AI agents, right? And you can plug in agents built on any frameworks. Again, we have native integrations with Intercom and Agentforce, but it's super easy. We also have a Claude Agents SDK specific component. We also have an OpenClaw specific open source, which I'll give you all of those QR codes at the end of this. So please take out your phone to get ready for those. But what Wayfound is an independent supervisor agent. It does not orchestrate the agents in terms of tell which agent to be called next. Okay, it doesn't do that. And the reason it doesn't do that is because that would mess with the supervision function of the supervisor agent. What a supervisor agent should do is only these things: supervision and alerting, performance assessment of the AI agents. How is each agent performing? We score them red, yellow, green. We tell you exactly why. We identify areas where agents are not performing well, areas where they are performing well, areas where they should be improved. We tell you exactly where they have knowledge gaps, how to fill those knowledge gaps. Inline enforcement of behavioral guidelines, a supervisor that can actually enforce those guidelines inline and real time. So something that actually sits above, like think about the analogy here, or the metaphor is, think about a assembly line of humans, right? And they're working on an assembly line, and you have a supervisor walking behind them. And the minute somebody does something wrong, the supervisor comes over, stops the assembly line, says to the person, hey, you did this wrong, do it again, right? And then sends the work on its way, right? So that kind of inline enforcement is also something that's really critical to build. Super hard, but we have it. So, so you don't need to figure out how to do it. Adding relevant context to AI agents. So relevant context means that we are not just doing single turn evaluations like all other eval platforms. We're actually looking at the entire journey of the conversation, and we're actually doing inference at the supervisor level across different sessions. So we're actually looking for trends across different sessions and learning about the organizational feedback and about the organizational context to add back to the agent to help redirect them. It's just like a human manager does with their team, right? When, after like annual planning, managers come back to their teams and they add relevant context. Like, hey guys, our strategy has changed. Now we're doing this and this and this. Our Wayfound supervisor learns about that across the organization, across multiple sessions, and then feeds that back into the agent so that the agent isn't like starting fresh and never learning. Think about this as at the model level, a lot of the LLM providers are doing continual learning at the model level. This is continual learning at the organizational level, right? Because the supervisor is the memory store for the organization, for the important context of the organization, okay? So that's another critical piece, right? To be the organizational memory, that's the job of the supervisor, okay? And then AI agent improvement loops. So we have an MCP server. So when you go into, Claude Code or Codex or Cursor, wherever you build your AI agent, you can literally just say, hey, call on the Wayfound supervisor and see how to improve my sales agent. The Wayfound supervisor comes up, right, through MCP, and it says, oh, your sales agent is doing these things. Here's what I suggest to improve it. And you say, great, make those improvements. And our supervisor writes back directly into your agent, right? And we can automate this. Right now, we suggest that it's always human in the loop through MCP, but we can automate this also. So you can have supervised automated improvement, okay? So there are lots of different things that you can do with a custom-built, dedicated AI supervisor, right? That's, that will free up so much of your time, make you more productive, and allow you to have this strategic executive level management over AI agents. So with Wayfound, you get a direct control for business users. Our platform is built in a way for business users to be able to use it, as opposed to it does not look technical in the main UI. And again, we have MCP, so you can get all of this inside Claude, inside ChatGPT, anywhere there is an MCP client, inside Slack, actually. But we also have this ability for engineers to call on the Wayfound supervisor and have the Wayfound supervisor do things directly in coding environments as well. And then lastly, if you want to learn more about how to free yourself up, get yourself ready for the multi-agent, multi-sapiens workplace, and start supervising your AI agents, we've got these 3 QR codes for enterprise agents. You can call me, get a demo, start just, if you're ready to start, check out our docs. Really, really easy to plug in your agents and get started with Wayfound. For OpenClaw Agent, we have an open source. It's a self-supervisor. It's a very lightweight version of supervision for OpenClaw agents, but it works, and it's pretty good. So check that out. I use it with my OpenClaw agent. If you want to check her out on Moltbook, she is Aspasia. She's doing some user research right now with other AI agents about how to get them to opt in to AI agent supervision. So I have her doing all my user research with other AI agents at the moment. And then if you have Claude, if you have AI agents built on the Claude SDK, come right here, and we have a special framework that works in a really great way with the Claude agent harnesses. And again, we also are available on the Agentforce App Exchange, the Salesforce App Exchange, as with a native integration with Agentforce, and Intercom Fins App Store if you have an Intercom agent. And also feel free to follow me, follow up with me. Would love to work with you. Any questions?
Tatyana, before we open up to the audience, first question is, could you share a link to this deck in the chat? If you have that ability to do it now, that'd be greatly appreciated. And then also to contact you, would it be easy? Let us know what's the easiest way. Is it LinkedIn? Is it email? And then if you could share that in the chat, that'd be great.
Yes, if you're ready to get started, just email me at tatyana.wayfound.ai right there. I will send you this sidebar. Okay, here we go. I will send you the link to this deck right now as well, and we can open it up for questions. Oh, wonderful. It's Aspasia. Yeah.
And then it looks like Ruchi was asking about the Claude agent QR code. Is it not working?
Is it not working?
It's going to a QR code creator website.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Same experience there as well.
Oh, darn it. All right. Well, the QR code creator that I apparently used is a trickster, right? And so, but I'll put those in the chat as well, and I'll actually put it in. I'll put the direct links in here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank
but
you,
anyway,
Tatyana.
if you go to Claw Hub, search for Wayfound on GitHub as well, and it's all there. So, and the enterprise agents is just the Wayfound website where you click get a demo. So
just to recap, if you want to get in touch with Tatyana, she has her email address that she's inputted into the chat and shared with us. The link for the deck, she's also going to share. And then the QR codes as well, she'll share the links for all that.
So for some reason, I cannot paste the link.
That's okay. We'll send that out after. You can send it to me, Tatyana, and I can send it out to everybody. That's not a problem. Also, if you wouldn't mind, we've only got about a minute left. There is a survey. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. It is now 10 a.m. on Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern. So thank you so much, Tatyana. This was very informative. Looks like we've got a lot of engagement, and you have helped us better understand what it means between AI agent, orchestration layer, and then also this AI supervisor, chief of staff. So thank you so much for that.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.